Hello everyone and welcome to Whiskey Wednesday. Today we're talking about the first ever single malt from my part of the world. Or probably the first legal single malt from my part of the world for quite a large amount of time. The Lakes Distillery, this lovely new bottle here. We have reviewed some of their stuff in the past. I think we've done the one blended whiskey. We've done Steel Bonnets at some point last year, which is their blended malt whiskey. And now we finally have the single malt. The distillery was established in 2011, so 8 years in the making, quite a long time. I'm unsure of the age of the whiskey. I'm going to estimate probably like 6 at the eldest, maybe pushing some 7-year-old stock in there. But given the waiting time, they haven't skimped in any way at all. So this is a combination of American oak, Spanish oak, French oak, with some Pedro Jimenez seasoning and some red wine cask seasoning too. It's natural colour, it's non-chill filtered, it's 60.6%, and it's only 5,922 bottles. Although on the back of the box it just say 6,100 bottles, so I think, slight misprint there at some point. But if anything, it might make it more collectible for you collectors and investors out there. I've got bottle 1409, I think. Bought it today, opened it today to talk to you about today. So it's been open for like a good 12 hours. Had a bit of time to breathe, let some interesting flavours out. The distillery profile of the Lakes is kind of unknown at this point. The one blended whiskey they have called The One, that's kind of mango-y sweet, quite exotic fruits. Steel Bonnets is like kind of heathery, creamy, almost touches onto like a Highland Park style of whiskey, which is great. So we don't really know what their profile is. We don't really know what to look for. So everything is a bit of a surprise at this point. So we're going to dive in. 60.6%. I'm going to be quite gentle with my nose on this. And then we'll taste it, we'll review it, we'll give you guys some interesting points for it. And hopefully, if you're interested, you might be able to get your hands on one. So, the smell. It's quite clean at the start. It's kind of grassy. You get a little bit of the spirit, which I don't mind, I quite like that. But then there are some sort of unusual notes and some really lovely sweet notes in the back of it too. So, one more time. Okay, so like French breads and French pastries, like croissant, like pain au chocolat, so like dark chocolate on its own, brioche bread, like stale sweet bread. Don't know why I'm explaining it, of course you know what brioche is. But it has that lovely kind of sweet, like egg-topped, baked kind of thing. And then there's quite a bit of vanilla, but it's like baked vanilla, like a kind of like a birthday cake or like a cake sponge, like fresh out of the oven. And then there's I get a little bit of the PX, but I get loads of red wine. Like the red wine is very prominent on this. And that's kind of like a Morello cherry, a little bit of blackberry, like I'm picking it up in loads of whiskies at the minute, like loads of kind of blackberry and forest fruit notes. Almost reminds me a little bit of Glenlivet 15, but a lot spicier. Yeah, but the lead thing for me is like those French pastries and those French breads. Loads of croissant, brioche, milk chocolatey, smells creamy, smells quite thick and lovely. But let's see if it is. The big thing is the taste, right? Ooh, that's spicy. It's been a while since a whiskey's made my eyes water. But that's not, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just it's a lot to take in. There's a lot of flavour in it. And then the AB, you get like a surge of ABV and loads of oak at the end. Like the only time I've had this much oak in a whiskey is some things like George T. Stag and like really old Glendronach single barrels. That's full. And as we've mentioned, there's 3 types of wood in it. And American, French, and Spanish oak give you three very different types of feel and loads of different types of flavour. American oak is sweet, French oak is spicy, Spanish oak can be even spicier, but also kind of baked, fruity, raisiny sweetness to it. So first of all, there's like the first hit of spice and ABV in oak. That begins to mellow out, and more of that kind of French bread thing comes through. Loads of milk chocolate, and I mean loads. Texture is super creamy. The spice kind of gets like another renaissance at that point. Well, its first renaissance at that point. Mid-palate, delivers it quite sharply, and behind it is almost like this cinnamon, allspice, kind of macy, Christmas spicy thing. Can only really associate that with Spanish oak. Well, certainly the two European oaks, because American oak tends to not have that. The American oak seems to come at the start with the French breads and the chocolate and the creaminess. Then as you go to swallow the thing, it just comes up again, like you just get this huge wave of oak and pepper from like left to right and up and down on your tongue. I'm gonna try it again, because I don't think this will make my eyes water the second time, hopefully. Yeah, there it is again. Now it's like chili and jalapeno. Like green jalapeno, you can kind of feel the crunch when you bite into it. It is a whiskey of so many textures and so many flavours, it's kind of difficult to nail them all down. Let's summarise, right? So at the start, American, creamy, sweet, chocolatey, patisserie, powdered, sugary, almond kind of flavours. Mid-palate, first hit of the spice, cinnamon, allspice, Christmas spices, a little bit of Christmas cake, raisin, sultana, that typical sherry vibe. Then the red wine. Then this kind of bitter, tannic, dark chocolatey, cherry, but it's still thick and it's still got presence to it. Like, if there's anything in this whiskey, it's certainly present. It just doesn't pull any punches at all. Bold words, I'm gonna stick by them because I genuinely think it might change when we get further down the bottle, but at this point we're trying it now. That's one of the most intense cask strength whiskies I've ever tried. I've never been an Abuna fan. I maybe just tried the wrong batches. I just thought it was booze. Never really been a Glenfarclas 105 fan. Glenlivet and Adora sherry cask has always been pretty good. Anything cask strength and Bowmore I'm sold. Same with Bunnahabhain, same with Leadshig. But then you get into peaty stuff, that's all the different flavours. This isn't peated, that I can tell. And the depth of delivery on it is insane, and the influence of oak over such a young age, some people might not like, but I really do. It's £65 a bottle, 5,922 bottles. Not a lot for a first run. I'm gonna go with an 8, which might seem a bit low given like the buzz I'm creating around it. But with more time with this bottle, I think more things will open up. So for the minute, freshly opened is an 8 out of 10. Loads of flavour, loads of delivery, loads of spice, loads of oak, different stages of delivery. Natural cask strength, natural colour, non-chill fluid. Yeah, for now an 8, which is a pretty solid benchmark to start with when it's only just been opened and it's the first single malt they've ever released to the public. So we're going to stick with that for now. We probably will revisit this later on, maybe in a couple of months, and see how it's getting on. So we might have like a secondary video to this. But for the now, as like a full summary, really powerful, really intense, loads of flavour, very balanced as well, in terms of how the oak and the spice work with each other. Lakes Distillery, Whiskey Makers Reserve, number 1, 8 out of 10. And then we will see what happens in a couple of months when a bit more action has happened to that bottle. But thank you all for watching. This is The Whiskey Shop. I'm Phil. This is Whiskey Wednesday. That's an 8 out of 10. And I will see you all next week. Thanks.